Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another day in the life as a work from home, stay-at-home mom. And by some miracle, it is 8:28 in the morning and my son is only just now starting to stir. So I have had the most productive morning known to man. I have done most of my work for the day, so that's very exciting. So all that's really left to do is some menial tasks here and there that do not require much of my focus at all. It has also been raining for on and off for the last, I would say 12 hours, which has been fantastic. I live in North Carolina. It has been roasting hot and super humid, but zero rain for a month. And I love a rainy day, pre-child love a rainy day. Less into a rainy day now that I have a toddler that always wants to be outside. However, everything needed rain. My soul, the grass, the flowers, all of it. Everything needed rain. So it looks like it's stopping. So I have my kiddos' breakfast in a little bowl. Alexa, turn on living room. Nope, this is the kitchen. Alexa, turn on kitchen sink.
Okay.
If anyone knows how to fix an Alexa schedule, we had our lights on our schedule for when my son was in preschool in I guess it was September of last year, and I cannot figure out how to cancel that schedule. So every day at 8:30 I tell the lights to come back on, which is, Anyway, I have his breakfast in a bowl because the dog has just eaten his breakfast. When Wade wakes up, I think we're gonna immediately go for a walk, and he can eat his breakfast outside in our glorious weather, which says it's currently 65 degrees outside, which seems borderline cold. That seems borderline cold considering it's been in the upper 90s for a very long time. However, I will also say, having done the little experiment that I did over the weekend, I have had everything feels calm and slow. I took a lot of what I learned from this weekend and brought it into my morning already. And even just now, having the desire to go for a walk the way that I feel like I want to, rather than just feeling like it's a task I have to get off my list, feels really good. And I'm very glad that I did that this weekend. I have some things. I have some things that I need to do and want to do, and I'm excited to share with you. So let's get on with the day. Okay, we just got back from our walk and it was actually really nice. It's still really humid, don't get me wrong. It's still North Carolina in the summer. I'm obviously very shiny, but we are back. I am making some couscous so it'll have some time to cool down in time for my lunch because it's a Monday. So I'm making my cucumber salad. Also, this robot will keep the dog and the toddler entertained for so long. And there's several different settings. And so when it seems like he gets bored of it, we just change the setting and then it's a whole new slew of songs and activities. And it's like he has a little buddy and he loves it, which is great. I am on the agenda for today. Let's get into that. Making my couscous from a salad. I won't share that here because you guys have seen it a million times, but I am making a TikTok about it because people have been asking. The other thing that I'm doing today is are you two playing? I am going to we're gonna attempt to make Chickfila sandwiches at home. And I'm not talking grabbing a frozen chicken breast that's been battered and fried and then you just stick it in the air fryer and go from there. No, we're talking from brine to bun. Those screams, man. He's having fun, but whoa, those will get you. So we're going from brine to bun, Chick-fil-A sandwich. So the first thing I need to do is brine the chicken. And according to the recipe I found online, to brine it in pickle juice, which makes sense. That makes sense to me. The breading, I think, will surprise you though, because it surprised me. So I'm very excited to go on this journey as far as recreating the sandwich. I'm really into that whole thing of eating something out, really liking it and trying to recreate it at home. We've had quite a morning. I will say I'm making the toddler some lunch and I'm so grateful that he loves a grilled cheese sandwich because sometimes I'm out of creativity. I don't know what to make. I don't want to serve him chicken nuggets and tots for the 9,000th time in a row. and a grilled cheese sandwich always hits the spot for him. As you probably just saw, I did attempt to prepare the chicken breasts for tonight. However, the online grocery pickup strikes again. I didn't realize until I opened the package that there was essentially no chicken in that package. They were extremely thin, which is fine because you want them to fit on a sandwich, but there was like hardly any chicken in it at all. I really hope I didn't pay the $8.98 for that package that it said I did online. I'll have to go back and check receipts. Got it from Target, not satisfied. Per usual, the cat is trapped in the bedroom. I just put the kiddo down for a nap and he needed it. Even though he slept in this morning, he has been so super grouchy all morning, which has made me a little bit grouchy, which is not my favorite thing. But I am going to try to rescue my dinner plan for tonight by rapidly, or as rapidly as I can, defrosting some other chicken breasts that are actual chicken breasts that have some weight to them, and hopefully that will work. If it doesn't, I can make cheeseburgers for tonight and maybe do the Chick-fil-A sandwiches tomorrow. I think I'd rather do that. I think I'm gonna just defrost this chicken and then set it to marinade in the pickle juice overnight, and then we'll do the Chick-fil-A sandwiches tomorrow, burgers tonight. So what I will do right now is my mom has a burger press. So usually when I make cheeseburgers, when I call like a smash burger, which is not an actual smash burger, like I need to have a tortilla press, I think, to do that. I usually just squish it between two wooden cutting boards, but my mom has a burger press, and so she very kindly let me borrow that. And so I'll prep the burgers, so then Wade and I are gonna go to the playground this afternoon with them being my mom, my sister, Wade's cousins, and that way when I come home I can very quickly throw some burgers on the grill and have that be dinner, since my original plan clearly didn't work out, but that's okay. I am sad outside, first of all, because we had some serious rain, like I was saying earlier, and so it's cooled off significantly, so I want to enjoy being outside while I can. I am going to take this time in my last actual vlog, not in my last video, but in my last vlog, I mentioned the mom master list, or just the master list, and the ideal day, ideal week situation. But I did not have time during that video to actually kind of brain dump all of the things or put any of it into action. So I'm gonna take some time while Wade is sleeping. I've completed all my work for the day. My freelance stuff is all out for approval, so I don't really have any of that to do at this moment. And so I'm gonna take some time and work on this, and then I'll share kind of where I get to with it once I have something to share. For the sake of transparency, I feel like it's really important that I tell you guys that today has been a real tough one with the toddler. I actually like Googled earlier, why is my toddler so angry? There are a myriad of reasons that could potentially apply to his situation. I think it's just that he's a toddler, but I feel like it's important to tell you that because I had a friend comment recently when I saw them in real life, and she was like, I love watching your vlogs. Your day with Wade seems so calm and peaceful. How do you do that? Y'all, it's editing. Please, I think I try my best to like leave a lot of that normal stuff in, but Please, under zero circumstances, assume that anything in my life is quiet or peaceful. Sorry, I'm grilling hamburgers because it is not. It is, sometimes it is, for like brief, tiny moments in time. Set timer for 3 minutes. Between the puppy, who constantly wants me to throw him a ball, the old lady dog, who's just angry all of the time, and a toddler who's an only child, also, mind you. So I feel like he has like a special like asterisk of not really totally always understanding the concept of certain things. I mean, granted, also, he's just a toddler. He's just a toddler. And today has been one of those days where I feel like my brain is scrambled. He's honestly been yelling at me all day long. And it's like one thing when it's like those joyful screams, when he's like playing with the robot or whatever, that I can handle. But when it's just like, no matter what I'm offering is making you angry, that's really hard. And I just feel like it's really important that I share that, because I appreciated it when there's YouTubers that I follow who also have a toddler not too far much older than Wade. And I was like this close to no longer watching their content, not for really any other reason except that like I was beating myself up, not because of them by any means, but I was like beating myself up because I was like, my experience with my toddler is so different, how they're experiencing it. And like one day they just happened to like reveal, like they were out in public and their child just had a full-blown like super embarrassing. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not just me. And I know that it's not. And I'm sure you know it's not just you. But it's not my favorite part. Like the getting screamed at, not my favorite part. But anyway, the husband has taken over the getting screamed at role at the moment while I get dinner ready. And I will likely, once Wade goes into like the bath time, I will try my best to get some of the work done on my ideal day and week situation, because I did do quite a large brain dump earlier, and I'll probably I don't want to like box myself in too much with this whole ideal day, ideal week things. I think I'm gonna make like categories for those, but okay, can I have my shoe back? I think I'm gonna like create categories, but I got like this, like I got a pretty solid brain dump happening, and it honestly actually made me feel a little bit better to see it all kind of written down. Like it helped, even just writing it all down helped with the overwhelm. It's probably about time for cheese and to do the buns. So I'll catch up with you guys once we've eaten dinner. The toddler is no longer screaming in the house. Me and the nerd clusters have a problem. I'm very aware of this. Kind of blame my sister, I'm not gonna lie. I almost wish I had never been introduced to them, because now I can't stop. I really can't. What? Okay, it's in the fridge. I didn't get rid of it yet. I figured that might happen. That's the second time I've had to frantically hide the nerd clusters after the child has gone to bed this week. Well, not this week, it's only Monday, but like in the last 7 days. Okay, as far as my categories go for this master list, and really honestly, it's not even really a master mom list even for me, because my situation is, I feel like, a little unique where I work from home, I keep my kid home all day, and so everything sort of becomes like symbiotic, sometimes to my detriment, and sometimes that helps me a little bit. So everything kind of like piggybacks off of one another, which is why I feel a lot better and my mental health does a lot better and everything functions a lot better when I'm playing offense and not defense. As far as my categories are concerned, I'm gonna be real honest, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't really know what that is. So I'll read them off to you, maybe in the comments. Let me know if you feel like I've left something off, or if there's something where you're like, oh, you don't have this and that would be on my list. Maybe that would jog my memory. Maybe it'll jog my own memory as I'm going through the list. But for right now, my categories are home, my son, pets, my job, my freelance work, writing, and then in all separate categories, I have the blog, YouTube, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. And then I also have like marketing events, and then I have my books and kind of like the general tasks and responsibilities associated with all of those different categories. So for instance, with the home, general responsibilities include meal planning, grocery shopping, managing like the essentials inventory that goes from like paper towels down to toilet paper, toothpaste, all of the things you need in your home to keep it functioning, propane, cleaning supplies, dishwasher tabs, laundry detergent, all that kind of stuff. And then within that category, I have cleaning, and then each room kind of broken down into its own section. So like master bedroom, master bath, guest bath, my son's room, office, the front room, which is like this whole space, the kitchen, the refrigerator, which is its own job in and of itself, the den, and then also like a general decluttering, and then the things that nobody wants to often do that maybe need to be put more on like a quarterly rotation or something like that. Windows, fans, air filters, the walls, baseboards, all that kind of stuff. Then within that, I also have laundry, and I just basically broke that down into each living creature in my house. For my son, outside of like doctor's appointments and things like that, I have it broken down into like pull-ups, which we're about to get out of, so I don't even really know that I need to keep the inventory of that. Toy rotation, teaching, so like keeping up with different things that he should be learning or working on at any given moment. Like recently we've really been working, sorry, the dog had something. We've really been working on the ABCs and counting, and both are going much better than I would have expected. And then on top of that, I have like play dates and activities. So different things to make sure that I'm incorporating those into our day-to-day or into our weeks, because if you are also a stay-at-home mom, I find it oddly easy to end up in a routine, which isn't so bad. I think routines are great, but oftentimes routine can become rut if you're not careful. And so really been working on that. There, doggies walking by. From there, we go into the pets, which is just like standard pet stuff. My job, which I have all of the different responsibilities broken down for that. I'm not gonna bore you with that. Same thing with my freelance stuff, which honestly looks a lot the same as my job. I offer the same type of services, freelance, as I do for my job. If you're curious what that is, I've essentially accidentally made myself into kind of an expert on all things like multimedia, and so content creation, some digital marketing, website creation, design, management, updates, etc. And then even for my job, I actually manage the back end of a TV network. So I do all of the broadcasting files for that as well. Writing, this gets tricky because I feel like writing and books could probably all go hand in hand. So I have a goal for each quarter with that, but that might need to be reevaluated. Blog, my normal schedule, and then all of the tasks associated with getting a blog post up. Same thing with YouTube, same thing with like YouTube Shorts and TikTok could probably all be the same. I haven't really been utilizing it. I haven't really been utilizing YouTube Shorts. However, I have a thought that I want to start implementing it, and so I just added it to the list and kind of what my thought is on that. Instagram, really haven't been present on there. Hold on a minute. I love and much prefer having hardwood floors, but when the dogs get rowdy, they get real rowdy. From there, I don't really use Instagram the way that I should. I need to, I'd like to, so I incorporated it into this list. Then we move into Pinterest, same type of deal. That is more standard built-in task work within each, like YouTube, blog, etc., book promotion. But I'd like to incorporate it a little bit more routinely into my day-to-day or my week. Events, we're looking at like managing my book inventory, managing travel arrangements, promotional materials inventory, designing different promotional materials depending on what I have coming out at any given moment or whatever specials I might have going on at a time. Researching said events. So I'm new to doing events, and I've been lucky so far that the events that I've been involved in have reached out to me, which has been really nice and very validating, and I'm very thankful for that. The other like little events I'm doing. I'm just looking for vendor events in my area, but obviously I'd like to move into some more bigger like convention style events, like what I'm doing in October in Texas. And yeah, there's that. And then as far as books are concerned, there's a lot more that goes into this, but the like initial dump of responsibilities that I've drafted out here, which I know so many people have asked me lately, like how to even get started writing a book, or just so many different facets to it. And maybe I don't put enough pressure on the whole process, and I don't really realize how overwhelming it can be. And I think that's due in part to the fact that for so much of my life, I've essentially been producing content in one way or another to be publicized into the ether. And so a book to me is really not much different than that, except it's on a larger scale, but the breakdown is fairly similar. And like I've told you, I've been blogging for as long as I can remember. And I did go to school for writing. And so as far as like the general structure of writing a story is pretty well ingrained, because they don't really allow it not to be if you're graduating with a writing degree. But for books, I have like character development, setting, planning, story structure, outline, getting the draft, the first draft, which is, are you kidding me with this right now? You guys. Seriously? So getting the draft done, which in my opinion is usually just telling myself the story. And then once the draft is done, I do my initial revisions, which is all me. Like I go through the story a few times, I rip things out, I put things in, refine characters, refine situations. I do a couple of rounds of that, a few rounds even. And then that goes into revisions with my editor. And we do several rounds. I've mentioned before, my sister is my editor, at least for this series of books. I'm hopeful she'll continue with me beyond this, but at least for this series of books, she's my editor. And the first time we ever worked together, I thought for sure that it was just gonna be like, okay, I revised it, we're good. Like, I've made my notes, here you go. And she's a typical oldest daughter, oldest child. And so everything has to be just so and like super perfect, which I'm extremely grateful for as the person whose work she is editing. And so I was really surprised the first time we worked together to have like, it was her that was always like, let's do them around. Let's do them around. And it has definitely made me a much better writer, and it's a process I really, really enjoy. Obviously from there we go into like cover design, formatting, uploading, filing, all that, like all of the things, like all of the tax background of Amazon. And for right now too, there's here's a category I didn't think about, is books go wide, which would be, for me, I am an Amazon exclusive at the moment. And I am in the process of getting everything prepared to go wide. And what I mean by that is purchasing my own ISBN numbers rather than having them be assigned through Amazon, and then publishing through something like Ingram Spark, which really would be like, I'm also creating like a business at the same time. So like my business will be my publisher, and that entity will then have the opportunity to have like sourcing into larger retailers like Barnes and Nobles and the places you're used to buying books, along with indie bookstores, which I could do right now more so like on consignment if I wanted to. That's generally how a lot of like indie stores work. But then this would allow me the opportunity to get into like libraries. But really what incentivized me to move in this direction is once I came back from the trip in Michigan, I had the bug. I was like, I have it all figured out. I know what my marketing strategy is going to be, because I don't like making this all about books, is to do events. And a lot of these much bigger conventions that are a little bit more like these bigger conventions that are filled with like the authors you're familiar with, you can't be an Amazon exclusive published author. And so that's what incentivized that. And that's really what got me moving on that whole process. So I need to add that category. The other category I need to include is incorporating, which is, I'm not really actually incorporating, I'm more LLCing, but we'll get into all those things. That's more like project management. I think plugging these things into different sections of my daily existence and my week and having like category. I feel like I have this pretty well already structured into my life. Like I feel like my days are structured well, where I wouldn't even say struggle, but where I feel like I could alleviate some of the decision making in the moment, which if you're a parent or you're an entrepreneur or really anybody with any level of responsibility in your life, chances are by the end of the day, you just suffer from like decision fatigue. And I know that there are strategies that I could implement that would allow me to take the decision out of the moment. And I used to be really good about doing that. I think even just doing this would allow me, when I have these like chunks of time that I know are dedicated to work, if I get more clear and specific about what work I'm supposed to be doing at what particular time of the day or which particular day of the week, I think would just really help me significantly. The one place I have things pretty well like mapped are like my job and my freelance work. Those things have their places like I would if I was like going into an office 9 to 5 and like had a specific structure or schedule. I've been very good about like scheduling that for me, so it's not even a question. Where I tend to have a little bit tougher time is structuring like my home responsibilities and then all of like my creative stuff. So I'll try to like map out what my days look like, and therefore then I can plug and play different pieces into each category. I've got to think about how I need to make this visual so I can show you guys. This was a lot of information. I realize that may be more information than you're looking to have, but it is useful. I feel like when I'm listening to somebody else talk about this kind of stuff, especially if it's somebody else that I feel like I think like all moms actually have this amount on their plate. It just looks different. Like the categories might look different. So I'm always really interested in how other people are managing, especially if they're in a season where they don't have a lot of help. So, and we're about to get into like even less help because like this time that we have right now, I'm not gonna have, because once football starts, like really starts, I'm on my own, like really on my own. Like my husband does such a great job of like fully taking over the second he walks in the door. And the worst of it is like eat the frog. It's the worst of it hits us right out the gates. And then it's like anything beyond that, I'm like, oh, this is a breeze. Because he goes for camp and camp for like 15, 20 days. It's insane. And I mean, we see him, but it's just like he's a ship in the night kind of situation. I'm gonna take my shower and get some things sorted. I'll probably do the ideal day and week stuff tomorrow. It's finally time. We are going to attempt to make the Chick-fil-A sandwiches at home. I did have yet another disaster where we had a chicken marinade spill in my refrigerator, which required me to clean my entire refrigerator. And as somebody who's had salmonella in the past, your girl is extra cautious when it comes to chicken. Because let me tell you, that is not a fun experience. 0 stars, would not recommend. But let me gather up all the ingredients and get everything ready. I'm gonna make my kiddo something different, only because we're kind of running out of time here. And he's been on one the last 2 days, as I mentioned earlier in this vlog. And so I really just don't feel like fighting him and want to serve him something that I know he's gonna eat without question, because also I think his little belly needs it. So I'm gonna get his dinner started, get working on this chicken, but I'll bring you along for the process. I'm doing these in the air fryer. Should I be doing them in hot oil? Probably. Do I set kitchen fires even without hot oil? Very often. So we were not going to attempt that. So this very well may be a giant flop. And so I only did 2 chicken breasts in this mixture in the air fryer. If this flops, my plan is to use the powder mixture in with a little bit of water and dredge the chicken in that and then coat it in panko instead. So maybe that way I'll still get the flavor, but I always have very good success with that kind of dredge and panko in the air fryer. So if this doesn't work, we'll go that route, but we'll see. They just beeped that they're done. So let's go figure out if this is a huge fail. I mean, the air fryer is super duper messy, but that does look like chicken. I mean, it kind of tastes like it. It might need a few more minutes. I don't know that they actually need more time, but like I said earlier, I am a little afraid when it comes to cooking chicken and making sure it's fully cooked through. And so, possible that these may end up dry, probably, but that's okay. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the buns ready because I think we're gonna go with what we've got. There's a significant part of me that is a little concerned about this. And I'm guaranteeing it's gonna be roasting hot. There's a part of me that worries it might be still a little bit raw. I'm not really sure why there's still like powdery bits, but I'm sure that those wouldn't exist if I had done this in like an oil fry, which I didn't do. Oh, if I end up with salmonella. Please don't end up with salmonella. Hold on. That's a Chick-fil-A sandwich. That's a Chick-fil-A sandwich. That is a Chick-fil-A sandwich. That's a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Do you want to try? Okay. That's pretty damn close to a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Now, things I would do differently. One, I would avoid the marinade massacre that resulted in the chicken not really soaking in the brine like it should have. So there is that. But if that had been successful, I might have also made my chicken breasts maybe a little bit thinner, although maybe not. But this will satisfy. Like if you have such a hankering for a Chick-fil-A sandwich on a Sunday and there's just no chance, this would do it. This would do it. Oh, I'm so happy that worked out. I'm so happy that worked out. I should probably have sides with this, but honestly, I've lost my will to live at this point in the day. We've talked about this before. Once the kiddo gets passed off to the husband, you would think that I have all this energy and time to like do all the things that I haven't had the freedom to do during the day. Nope, I wanna shove this sandwich down my throat. I wanna take a shower. I wanna go lay in bed. And I trick myself into thinking I'm gonna watch an episode of television. I don't. I watch like 20 seconds of a TV show and then I'm like, nope, I'm falling asleep, and then I turn it off. I am, however, before I sign off for the night, I am gonna show you my ideal day map and how I plan to utilize that day for the ideal week. Confession, it's Wednesday night. This vlog has gotten away from me and I'm so sorry, but honestly, it's this week has gotten away from me. I know that I mentioned earlier that it has been a struggle of a week. I wanted to share with you though, before I forget, the ideal day map out that I have. A couple of disclaimers with this. I have a job, but I am mostly in charge of my hours with my job. My job is part-time. I give them part-time hours. I do occasionally have in-person meetings. I do occasionally go and meet for like a co-working session. Those get put on my calendar occasionally, but for the most part, my days, I was gonna say are up to me, but that's actually 1000% untrue, because at the moment, my days are up to my kid. And that's a struggle for me, if I'm being as transparent as possible. Okay, as you guys know, I am part of the 5 a.m. wake up club. I don't encourage it if that's not your natural state. I am a very natural morning person, but I also go to bed early. So my like first hour of the day is always spent on me. It's spent drinking coffee. It's spent in meditation, doing my gratitude journaling. If I want to watch a YouTube video, if I want to catch up on a TV show, that hour is the time that I do it. That is I give my gratitude, and then I give into myself. And I pour into myself in the first part of my day, because that's really the only time I get to do it. From there, research has shown that your brain is in the most beneficial state for productive, deep, creative, focused work right after your meditation and gratitude. So right from there, go into a 60-minute work session. This I'm already pretty much doing. I wouldn't say that I was doing it intentionally. It just was like the natural rhythm of my day. So seeing it here mapped out on a calendar is really helpful for me. And then from there, this is where I'm gonna kind of lean back into some old habits that I used to have. I'm gonna stop that work session at 60 minutes. We're gonna do our 30 minutes of chores, and we're gonna take 30 minutes to get ready. Those are two things that I know from the past, if I give myself time to do in the morning, kind of setting the day up for success. I mean, we're talking like pre-kid, I used to do this. So definitely beneficial. Sorry for the squeak toy in the background. Okay, so getting back into those old habits, chores, and then get ready. From there, once I'm ready for the day, go back into another work session. Again, naturally kind of already doing this, but wanting to kind of intentionally set it on the calendar, so then I'm also able to go and look at what work needs to get done. A lot of times this will still be for my job. Okay, I will say that another thing that I do, and this kind of will like interrupt that block of work that I was just talking about. When my son first wakes up in the morning, for those first like 15, 20, 30 minutes, my eyes are on him. I'm not on my phone, I'm not on my computer. I am with him, intentionally spending that time with him. Once he's sitting down to eat his breakfast, I will sit down and have my computer, but I want to make sure that when he wakes up in the morning, he knows that he's my priority and that I'm looking at him. I'm spending very intentional time with him. So there is like a bit of a break in that one work session. It's brief. It's kind of hard to schedule because I never really actually know when my kid's going to wake up. Sometimes it could be 7 a.m., sometimes it could be 8:30. I don't know. But when he wakes up, I stop what I'm doing and I pay him attention. Once we get through like the morning, which for me is from like the time Wade wakes up until about 10 a.m. I'm curious if any other parents feel this way, but by 10 a.m. I'm like, we gotta get out of this house. Something has to give. We need to do something to eat up the rest of this morning and make it to lunchtime. Also, 10 a.m. for whatever reason is the time that most places open for toddlers. It's like they've never met a toddler, but 10 a.m. is that time. So from 10 until about 1, that includes like his lunch, wind down, getting home, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes we might eat lunch out, like in the car on the way home. But either way, from about 10 to 1, I'm focused on my kiddo. We are going to meet friends, we're going to do something, we're going to a museum, we're going to a playground, we're going to the pool, we're doing something intentional. Then, this is also like my ideal day. This isn't what actually always happens, but this is what I want to have happen. At that point, at 1 p.m. is when I get my kid down. That has started to take longer and longer because he requires me to lay on the floor with him instead of like, I used to be able to just like put him in his bed and leave. That's not the case anymore. But kiddo nap, and at that point, once he's down, I have like my lunch and brain break. This is when I'm, again, watching a TV show, maybe reading a book, maybe I'm just sitting in silence and staring at the wall and eating my food. Sometimes that's necessary, but I'm taking a break. At this point, it's not long, it's just a 30-minute break. And from there, I dive right back into work. Because at this point, at about when my son wakes up around 3 o'clock, usually most of the time, that's when I'm calling it quits from work, all work, freelance, and my job. Sometimes it bleeds over. Again, ideal day, not always going to look like this, but once my kid is waking up from nap, my eyes are on him and we are spending time together. Like I mentioned in the video where I was sharing like being a work from home, stay-at-home parent for a toddler and what that looks like, I don't want me working from home to be his entire childhood. Granted, also, let's remember, I start working at about 6 a.m. So by 3 o'clock, that's a whole day. That's a full day. And at that point, we're going to my mom's in Wake Forest. We're going to the store. We're going to the playground. We're going to go visit daddy at work. We're doing things. We're out, we're about. Maybe we're big outside, running around with the dog, going for a walk, whatever. Like this is his time. We can do what he wants. He starts dinner at 6:30. We also generally eat at the same time as him. Usually we sit down as a family to eat. That will obviously change when football season comes, but like for the most part, that's what that looks like for us as a family. There is a bit of a block of time here that's a little bit blank, and that can be a bit of a wild card. That can be like I'm finishing up some work stuff if the day went off the rails and I didn't get what I needed to do done. And when I say that, I mean that more from a sense of self-discipline rather than anything else. I'm never working up against a deadline, almost never. My internal deadline and the external deadline I'm working with are never the same. So I'm never in a situation, or at least I try to never be in a situation where I'm like, I'm gonna have to give up sleep in order to get a project done on time. It's just not how I operate. I was actually meeting my boss yesterday for a meeting, and I texted her that I was gonna be a few minutes late because I had a situation, and I walked in, she looked at the clock. It was exactly the time I was supposed to be there. She's like, you're not late. I'm like, you know me. If I'm not early, I'm late. Like, that's just how I operate. So when I say that, like, I'm tying up loose ends, it's more so like self-discipline project management of like what I've laid out to be done on a particular day in order to stay on the schedule that I've implemented, whether it be for my job or my freelance stuff. By 7:30, I'm usually in the shower and my kiddo's getting ready to go down. My husband is glorious and takes care of the whole like evening routine, and I'm shutting down. I am doing my skincare, I'm getting in my bed, I'm watching a TV show, maybe I'm reading. At that point, I'm shut down. Lights are always out by 9 p.m. I wake up very early. That's the way it just rolls. So what I want to do with this now, moving forward, is now that I have like the structure of the day, we're using this as the skeleton, right? Like this is never going to be what my day looks like, but in a perfect world, this is what my days would look like. They're very full. I get it. That might be too full for some people. It might not be full enough for others. What I can do though, is now that I have those like blocks of time, I can plug and play throughout my week what particular things I'm supposed to be focusing on during which particular blocks of time. And that feels really good for me. Like that feels relieving, even just saying it out loud. I know that's gonna take a lot of work to make happen, but I know it'll be worth it once I've done it, because that's very similar to how like I used to operate, like I said, in the past. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that'll do some good. And I'm curious if you decide to do kind of something similar, or if this has inspired you into a whole different idea. If that's the case, please share it with me, because I'm always looking for ways to like optimize my time. I'm finally going to end this vlog here. Thank you for hanging out with me the last couple of days. Sorry this vlog has been a little bit all over the place, but this is just the reality. It is not always easy. It's not always easy, and this week has not been easy so far, but tomorrow will be better. And looks like the husband is done doing bedtime. So it's a good time for me to call it quits on this. And thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.